So this video is going to explain how you can create an interactive worksheet that marks itself to save you having to do it, and it will give the results to the students as soon as they click submit. So here's an example of a worksheet that I created for my year 2 class, and they would all you need to do is get this link to them somehow, whether that's on Classroom or Teams or whatever you use. But yeah, first of all, they'd fill in their name, full name, but anyway. Then they would just answer the question like they would do. This time it's multiple choice, so I can see that's less than a litre. I can see that's more than a litre. You can do some cool things if you want to on a Google form. So here the answer is 5 litres. That's how much it holds. But if I write 5 as a word, it will say no, it must be a number. And then for the last one, how many bottles? I'd say 3 lots of 2 litres to make the 6 litres. And then when I click submit, I can view my score. So if you imagine I'm a student right now, I can see that, yeah, I've got the first one, it's got a tick because I got it right. And the next one I got right. And the third one I got right. And the fourth one, because there are so many potential answers, we've put the answer on here as feedback. So it says, if you said all 3 of the 2 litre containers, you got it right. So I think, yeah, I've got it right. So how do I do this? So I'm just going to do a really quick demonstration. And if you want to find out more about forms, there is another video that goes into much more detail about it. But this is just a quick demo. So you can just go to form.new to create a blank. This is a Google form. And then over here, I've got my worksheet. Now, you could just upload this to Google Classroom, but then students would have to work out a way to fill in the answers and then get those to you. And then you would have to mark those and get them back individually if that's how you do it at your school. But if you take a bit of time to create a Google form, it does take a bit longer, but then it saves you the time with the marking. So I'm just going to call this worksheet 2. I always start off with a name question just so that it's simpler, so that the students just type in their name. And then for the next question, I'm now, rather than typing it out, I'm just going to do a screenshot of the question for 1A. And I'm using a Mac, which is Command, Shift and 4. And I've set my screenshots to save to my desktop. But you know, it's worth finding out how to take screenshots on your computer and where they save, and maybe any keyboard shortcuts and things like that. If you do this regularly, it will make your life much easier if you know some of the shortcuts. And then to add the question in, I'm just going to click here, this symbol to add an image, and I'm going to upload from my desktop. And there's the first image. And you can make it a little bit larger if it helps. And at the moment, it's assuming it's going to be a multiple choice. So you could put down different answers, like is the answer 3 or 4 or 5. But for this one, I think that might make it a bit too easy for them. So I'm going to just use short answer. So they type in the answer. But because I don't want them to type in words, I'm going to put some response validation. And you don't need to do this. This is just kind of an extra thing that you can do. But I might say I want them to choose a number between 0 and 10. And if they try and type in any other number, I could say they'd get an error message. So now to view this, and I recommend you kind of do this regularly as you're making the form, just check that you've not added in extra questions that are blank. You can click this eye symbol to see what it would look like for the student. So here, this is what they would see. So there's a title, and then they put their name in. And then here, it will ask them to put in a number. And if they put in a word like that, it would say, no, it must be a number between 0 and 10. So then, they can put their own answer in and then submit it. So that's what it looks like, and I'm happy with that. The only problem is, at the moment, I've not told the form what the actual answer is. So to do that, you need to go to this settings cog, and then you're going to go to the quizzes section over on the right, and flick this switch by clicking it, and it turns this into a quiz. There are other things you can change as well, and it goes into that in the other video about forms. But I'm just going to click save now. And the only difference that you might notice is now there's this answer key down at the bottom. And when I click that, it shows that now I can choose how many points this question's worth. So maybe 1 or 10 or whatever you want. And then you can also type in the correct answer. So I'm going to type the correct answer is 5 and click done. If you want to as well, you can give feedback. So you can give some feedback, and sometimes you can even give feedback depending on if they get it correct or incorrect. And then I want to do that again for the next couple of questions. But to save time, I'm just going to use this duplicate button, which will duplicate the whole question, but it also duplicates this kind of data validation. And then I'm just going to swap. I'm going to change this picture. And again, I'm going to browse this on my desktop. So I'm going to get the next one, which I think is this one. And then this time, this is important that I set the correct answer. So again, I'm just going to change this to 9 and click done. And then I'm going to do it one more time. So now I've duplicated it. So I've got 1, 2, 3 questions. And I'm just going to swap this image for the final one. And then I'm going to test it and see how it looks. I'm just going to set the answer to 2. So now when I use this eye symbol to see what it would look like, I can test it out to fill it in as well. So I'm going to say Luke. The answer to this one is 4. Maybe I'll get one wrong. The answer to this one is 9. The answer to this one is 2. So it's always worth checking to see if you've got your answers correct. Otherwise you might get grumpy parents calling you, as I've done a few times. Click view score. Now this is another reason to test it. So I accidentally left my name counting as one of the questions, so I need to change that. But I can see I got the first one wrong, and it tells me what the correct answer is. Next one right, next one right. So I'm going to just go back to the editor version here, and for name I think I've set my defaults to always give 1 point. So I'm going to change that to 0, so that's not actually a question. That's just to find out their name. And then you can add more questions if there are more. But the last kind of step is just to get this somewhere where your students can do it. And to do that, you go to send and you get the link from here. You can shorten it if you want. And then this link, if you copy that, right click and copy, that is what you need to put somewhere, whether you put that on your school website or you Class Dojo, whatever you use, Google Classroom. If you can put that on there, when they click it, they can complete it. And then just to kind of show you as well, once they have completed it, so if I go on to this is what students would see, but if you're an editor, you can see a pencil in the bottom right. So I'm going to click it and I can see here responses. So I can go through and find out, how many points different people got, and I can either see the summary so that I can see, how did they do on the first question? 45 out of 48 got it correct. How did they do on the next one? And I can see some of the different answers that they put. And this is what I mean about, the different kinds of answers they might use, which is why multiple choice is sometimes better for a quiz. And if you want, you can go through individuals and see what each individual child, what their answers were. And you can, if you click this button, it pulls all that data into a spreadsheet for you to analyze. But yeah, hopefully that will save you time. It certainly saved us time at our trust. And I hope the video was useful. So thank you for watching.